I must wait a moment. I must wait a moment.
With red or purple skin, ram horns, a forked tongue, and a long tail. He often prefers to appear as a fly when summoned, which may sound innocent until you consult history. Flies were believed to have been born from rotting flesh and plagues. According to Christian beliefs, he began his career as a false god, convincing men to worship him and trick them, so he could give faulty advice that would harm instead of helping those in need. Before in the comments asks for a Bible citation, since I haven't been including them for all the listings today, I'll mention it now. In Mark 3:22, the scribes accused Jesus Christ of driving out demons by the power of Beelzebub, the prince of demons. The name also appears in the expanded version in Matthew 12:24, 27, and Luke 11:15, 18, 19, as well as in Matthew 10:25. Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, "Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand? If I drive out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your people drive them out? So then they will be your judges. But if I drive out demons by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God will come upon you." Funny, hanging around this spooky stuff has me quoting the Bible more than I ever thought I would in my lifetime. Guess I should have paid more attention to my middle school religion classes, or when I was altar serving as a kid, instead of just figuring out the perfect angle to take a candle at to splash wax on my arm. What? Just that I was a normal kid. Beelzebub is commonly described as placed high in hell's hierarchy. According to the stories of the 16th century century occultist Johann Weyer, Beelzebub led a successful revolt against the devil, is the chief lieutenant officer of Lucifer, the emperor of hell, and presides over the Order of the Fly. And I thought I was a workaholic. The 17th century exorcist Sebastian Michaelis, in his admirable history, placed Beelzebub among the three most prominent fallen angels, the other two being Lucifer and Leviathan. John Milton, in his epic poem Paradise Lost, published in 1667, identified the unholy trinity of Beelzebub, Lucifer, and Asherah, with Beelzebub as the second ranking of the many fallen angels, a quote from him claiming, "Satan except, none higher sat." In simple English, only second place is Satan here. His specialty is in tormenting mankind, causing wars, instigating murders, and known for his ability to place humans under the spell of other demons of the West. One thing historians haven't been able to settle on is which major sin he represents, with some claiming pride, others gluttony, but also some claim idolatry. Personally, since he allegedly originated from being a false god, I'm going to side with idolatry. But let me know in the comments which one you believe.
Coming in number 5, we have Astaroth. Feeling lazy lately? After a good year or so indoors, followed by some intense socialization, you probably feel like it's time to hibernate again. All kids are actually reaching, and with it, the desire to drink tea and everything in the house. There are horror movies to be watched, all recipes to be cooked. Be careful. You use all of this as an excuse might be under the influence of Astaroth. Riding around the back of a dragon and carrying a staff that sort of looks like a snake, this dude is all about laziness. Astaroth's whole deal is tempting folks into being lazy. Once he gets them there, it's so much easier to manipulate them into bad behavior. Souls of hell, blood from the flood god, and all that good stuff. Sounds like fun, right? That's not all he has to offer, that is a pretty rough task. People are naturally inclined to laziness anyway, so being tempted into that kind of thing is the worst. In addition to that, though, he's also the treasurer of hell. And Christian super hot ropes and whatnot. Interesting that hell has a currency that they need to organize, eh? I'm sure he does plenty of laundering across all sorts of seedy underworld activities. Interestingly enough, witches cast water differently and consider a female deep with expertise in all sorts of areas, specifically lust, protection, and love. Astaroth can be many things. One thing is for sure, that is Astaroth's eternal threat. That's a plausible detail. In Christian lore, it appears that Astaroth also has dominion over math, giving people invisible in their search for treasure. So, Nathan Drake and Indiana Jones may have something to talk to this demon about. And like most demons of higher orders, Astaroth can answer any questions asked as long as they fall under the topics he knows about. Coming in number 4, we've got Olivier. Sure, this one. We can see this playing out across all forms and eras, and it's always justified by some ridiculous standard. Cruelty and hatred towards the poor and disenfranchised. More than ever, the line between stable and in the street is fade and blurry, and Olivier takes full advantage of this. I'm sure all sorts of entrepreneurs, influencers, and money orders have been visited by this demon. Olivier, maybe, the so-called prince of archangels, Alan hatred demon under encouraging malice and viciousness towards the poor. That is indeed a low demon to be. We live in a messed up world already. Why should the poor be reviled for simply being poor? At what point do we decide that work is the ultimate good and that nothing else can stand in for that morally or economically? It seems as though the folks who do the most important, most real work, say building these structures that we inhabit or bringing food to the masses, is the short end of the stick. And Olivier have taken their share in keeping that the way things are. Middle managers and corporate drones keep their specific machines chugging, dump on the poor, killing them they should simply work harder. Forget Astaroth, folks lazy, making folks think that others are lazy for not making as much money as them. Really wild. Olivier, you really are a rat. Coming in number 3, we've got NCL. Working closely with Simkiel, NCL is another tough piece straight out of the clouds. With a name meaning the constrainer, one can assume that nothing good comes from being constrained. Images of prison, the inability to move, and possibly even Stockholm Syndrome are evoked, are they not? All that being said, it's tough to think that an angel makes regular use of constraints as anyone's safe haven, unless you're a regular on a smutty roleplay blog. In that case, you do you. NCL isn't all that bad, though. He's often invoked to prevent forgetfulness and stupidity, which, to be honest, we could all use a hand with from time to time. However, if someone were to rely on angelic intervention regularly to keep them in line, well, what hope did they even have in the first place? Apparently, NCL is known for having a very short temper when it comes to these two traits, however. So those who need his help the most are likely to be held in contempt by him. Maybe find a new job, right? Humorless and hard to get along with, NCL is an excellent soldier. In fact, he's one of Michael's greatest warriors, which means if anyone is ever to step to him, things will end very badly for them. Watch out, try to keep tabs on stuff you're supposed to remember. If you fail at this, you could find yourself restrained, constrained, and in NCL's bad books. Coming in number 2, we've got Gabriel. Now we're talking about the big ones, the archangels. Gabriel in particular can be a real pain to deal with. The youngest of the archangels, he is known as the messenger of God. He heralds major changes and brings news from the heavens. So if you run into Gabriel, you can be assured that something monumental is going to happen. You better listen closely though, because he doesn't suffer fools. In fact, if he senses that you're not paying close enough attention, he might just silence you forever. That's almost what happened to Zechariah. When Gabriel ascended to announce the birth of John the Baptist, Zechariah initially reacted poorly. Seeing this, Gabriel got angry. So angry that he threatened to take away Zechariah's voice. He said, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and bring this good news. But now, because you did not believe my words, you will become mute, unable to speak until the day these things occur." Man, I can only imagine what happens when he gets into an actual argument with someone. For it being with divine powers, he sure has a short temper. Plus, as God's messenger, Gabriel is going to be the first to show up if God ever decides to call this all quits. It's more likely than you think, too. Humans are sinful and often turn to other forces these days. And in so many movies, Gabriel is the big bad guy who causes all sorts of problems for humanity. When you're the first angel to show up, you'd better believe you're going to catch a lot of folks off guard. And finally, at number 1, we've got Michael. To cap off our list, the head archangel himself. He's the one powerful enough to push Lucifer out of heaven. He's the one strong enough to end the angelic war. He's the one righteous enough to prevent Samael from tearing a baby from its mother's womb. Nothing can stop Michael save for God himself, so why would he be on this list? Well, that kind of unchecked power can never be good, now can it? As the most powerful angel in creation, he has control over all of the other angels. God leaves him in his stead to rule over the kingdom of heaven, and if Michael were to ever change things up, it's unlikely that anyone would be able to do anything about it. If Michael looks down and deems our world unworthy, we're done for. Game over. The book of Revelation will come to fruition and all mortals will suffer before being cleansed from the earth. It's good to know, right? Coming in at number 5, we've got Asmodeus. A lot of folks take great issue with some of those classic vices. You know the ones: sex, rock and roll, all plenty of fun, all the bane of Puritans and teetotalers across the globe. If you delve too deeply into any of the above, you can find yourself receiving plenty of disapproving looks. Too bad, considering how much folks tend to enjoy these things. Is it possible to have too much of a good thing? Hard to say, especially these days. Who knows when the good won't be available anymore. However, traditionally, folks have looked down upon those consumed by lust, whether it be carnal, money-focused, or otherwise. Thankfully, you can blame a demon for all those urges. Isn't life funny that way? Who made up morality anyways? Why not just explain it all away by saying it's totally out of your control? Beautiful, it makes up for everything. So we've got Asmodeus, the supposed son of Adam, once an angel of harlotry. Of course, his angelic properties aren't really around anymore as he fell from heaven and now lives as a demon in the underworld. With time, he became more well known for stuff like gambling and lust, and somehow became Lilith's husband, which is fun. The two of them, both labeled temptresses, produced all sorts of demonic babies to keep the fires of hell hot. There's also the famous story of Asmodeus killing 7 husbands in a row to keep one woman from consummating her marriage. Like, every time she got married, Asmodeus would show up and murder her husband before they could do the deed. But then she'd go out and get married again. At some point you think she'd learn and see a pattern and stop feeding her suitors to a demon, but hey, maybe she liked the demonic attention. Asmodeus is pretty wicked looking, too. Rocking 3 hideous heads, this demon gets around by riding a dragon. This isn't his only look, though, as he can appear as a few other forms to appeal to different types of people. I mentioned gambling before, and anyone with that kind of habit can thank Asmodeus for it. Gotta love it. Lastly, his powers do tend to get stronger in November, so once Halloween wraps up, be on the lookout. Lust might not stick around as easily once everyone puts away their sexy costumes, but hey. Coming at number 4, we've got Nibu. Rocking with another fallen angel here, we've got Abbas and Dibu. A little tougher to say in spell, but just as scary and powerful. Raunchy as all hell, too. See, Abbas and Dibu left heaven at the same time as the devil himself and didn't take the fall that well. He used to be a plunderer of God. Once he took that tragedy down below, things got ugly. If you're familiar with the most legendary gaming god of all time, you'll see some inspiration here. While falling, Abbas and Dibu was used as a life raft of sorts by other fallen angels. They grabbed at his body and managed to take hold of one of its wings. This led to the feathered appendage being torn off, leaving our core demon to be with only one wing. Eventually, it did sort of grow back, but not as it was. Abbas and Dibu was known for having a red and grotesque wing. That's how many recognize this demon. Badass, but probably really upsetting to deal with after many lifetimes of perfect angelic wings. Like I said, once he made it to hell, things went extra south. He rules over Tartarus, which is essentially hell jail. All of the worst of the worst reside here, suffering eternal torment in a cage of their own creation. How lovely. Abbas also has quite the same sorcery, able to cast powerful spells and persuade influential figures to act in unholy ways. For these reasons and more, it was decided that this demon would no longer have sway over humanity. Abbas was eventually trapped in a field of air and taught for eternity. Not great for sure. However, many do believe that Abbas will return one day and bring with him thousands of years.
I'm not ready yet.
His red wing. flying serpents. What else do I need to say? Thoughts? I'm going to go on folks going on and associate flying snake thing. So, the Almighty and the creator of everything and all of this, a bunch of snakes flying around, literally thinking it's great. It seems like they're doing their best to convince anybody to hear of it. Who else needs a PR team running around making sure that everyone believes they're actually really good? In addition to their sketchy job descriptions, they're just plain weird looking. They fly around with 6 wings sprouting from their backs, 2 for their actual airborne maneuvers, and 4 to cover their faces. And also their feet. Yes, these flying, razor-headed snakes also have feet. So are they dragging or dangling out by their tails? Unless you persecute these angels, we may never know for sure. That image is not good. In some writings on celestial hierarchy, the seraphim are described as such. The name seraphim clearly indicates their ceaseless and eternal revolution about divine principles, their heat and keenness, the exuberance of their intense, perpetual, tireless activity, and their elevative and energetic assimilation of those below, kindling them and firing them for their own heat, and wholly purifying them by a burning and all-consuming flame, and by the unhidden, unquenchable, changeless, radiant, and enlightening power of dispelling and destroying the shadows of darkness. So, if you ever found yourself influenced by the shadows of darkness, you know, demons tend to do their best to influence good people to do bad things. They can resist it. Angels seem to just want to destroy anything that goes against their original holiness. Coming in number 3, we've got Legion. One person can be many things, but in this case, one demon is actually many demons. And these demons were so nasty, so evil, that Jesus himself had to exorcise them. Holy smokes, right? Legion is quite popular in the pop culture pantheon, and many famous exorcisms and related events seem to use him as the prime example. With so many demons dwelling within one main demonic form, they can take over the souls of people relatively easily and with varied results. However, all of the demons that make up Legion act as a sort of hive mind. They all have the same knowledge, thoughts, and reactions to things, and if one demon from the collective experiences something, they're all aware of it. With all of that knowledge and the ability to spread out all over the place, Legion can be a terrifying adversary. And even though Jesus does manage to send Legion back to hell in the Bible, there isn't much guaranteeing that many parts of Legion can come back. Most folks only experience Legion as individual parts, too. This is when the demon is at its weakest, as each individual piece of the whole only holds so much power. Were Legion to assemble all of the many together, we could be in trouble. And trouble lives. Coming in at number 2, we've got Venice. Corruption. Such a classic human form of folly. We work so hard to avoid it, even do our best to prop up those who remain pure of heart and purpose, but corruption spreads pretty much no matter what. We can thank Thetis for that. Second in command of Lucifer himself, this is the demon who wants to tempt holy people away from their chosen path. Even the most pious has a chance of being drawn in by this demon. He works very hard at figuring out people's deepest desires and then encouraging them to pervert everything they believe in to achieve set goals. Oftentimes, these desires are less than socially acceptable, and at worst, they can be quite taboo. Does Venice care that he's ruining lives? Probably not. He takes on different forms to be extra convincing and makes sure to really sweeten the deal whenever he can. However, there is a way you can tell that Venice is trying to tempt you. He only speaks in rhyme. Interesting, right? Hold on. There's a form of communication that almost exclusively communicates in rhyme and tells people to act in all sorts of wild and depraved ways. Music. Not music specifically, but hey, do you think that Venice is communicating with modern folks with the tunes we so often hear on the radio, telling us to consume, to cavort, to consummate? That's insidious. And finally, at number 1, we've got Beelzebub. Speaking of music, how many songs exclusively reference Beelzebub? I can think of 2 right now. Bohemian Rhapsody and Beelzebub. I'm sure there are plenty more, but you can drop those in the comments. As you do that, I'll continue on my way talking about this demon. Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies, the devil, but also maybe not the devil. There's so much to say about this particular demon and so little time in which to do it. I'll see what I can do with what we've got today. So the Lord of the Flies may be associated with literature read in schools these days. Back before we had a tale of British boys losing their minds on an island, that association with insects was filthy. Ruling over flies meant you had domain over demonic excrement and rot. Not a good thing, right? Throughout history, people have blamed Beelzebub for all sorts of things. He was closely associated with the Salem witch trials and cited often when folks were put to death. Plus, years after that was called off, he was again referenced in many exorcisms, both infamous and unknown. All of this pales in comparison to his actual standing in hell, though, where he is known as the Prince of Demons, and rules over the other basement dwellers with an iron fist. His ultimate goal is to destroy the world, and it seems as though he's been planning this for ages, tricking people into worshipping false idols, commanding other infernal beings, and sowing seeds of discontent. Nobody's doing it quite like Beelzebub. I'd recommend learning a song wicked enough to defeat the devil. Otherwise, you're probably ending up going down to hell with him.
Number 5, the Behemoth. You wanted 5 more creatures, and I wanted an excuse to keep reading this thing. This book is terrifying. Speaking of, did you know that there's a herbivore creature plated in spikes and armor with a tail the size of an oak tree, head like a lion swallowing up rivers, just roaming around back then? Yeah, apparently, the Behemoth, this Goliath of a beast, was one of the first talked about. Not the first beast, that's a completely different thing. Also terrifying. The Behemoth, God's secret weapon, and apparently the first thing he created. Hadn't made us in his image yet, so this hippo tank Elder Scrolls boss was what God went with. One of the most popular and revered creatures in the Bible, quote, "Behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass like an ox. He moveth his tail like a cedar. His bones are as strong as pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron." Yeah, this is definitely a dinosaur, right? Right? Scholars seem to think that the Behemoth is an aggressive exaggeration of a large hippopotamus or rhinoceros. Opening up its mouth and swallowing a river could literally mean it's just an animal thirsty. In 2003, French scientists working in Pakistan claimed to have discovered an extinct species of rhinoceros called a Balak Ethereum, which was much larger, much scarier, and matched the physical description given in the Book of Job. Yeah, that's terrifying stuff. Number 4, cherubim. These cute flying baby angels we see on soap ads and bottles are a lot scarier and much more sinister than the blonde cupids we're used to seeing. The cherubs, or cherubim, are God's throne bearers and appear over 90 times in the Bible. The Hebrew text says cherubim is a celestial winged being who represents God's spirit on earth and symbolizes the worship of God. In Ezekiel, cherubim are described as angelic creatures with 2 sets of wings and 4 faces: lion, ox, human, and eagle. Okay, this is getting scarier and scarier. The 4 faces of the cherubim apparently represent the 4 domains of God's rule. The lion represents wild animals, man represents humanity, ox represents domestic animals, and the eagle represents birds. Aren't those all wild animals? I don't know. The cherubim appear in several texts of the Bible, including Genesis, Ezekiel, Kings, and Revelation. Yeah, so lots of people were seeing these things, and they all kind of sound somewhat the same. They all oddly say 4 faces. Like every which way they turned, they could see a face. Some say, quote, "They move quickly, using a wheel within a wheel, and their wings cover their body." Question: what's with all the wheels? People just like looking up into the sky all day must have had like severe floaters in their eyes, because a wheel and a cute baby angel thing look completely different, no? A conjoined wingspan of the 4 cherubim are described as forming a divine chariot, the so-called mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. 2 cherubim make the Ark and form a space through which Yahweh would appear in Ezekiel's visions. The status of the cherubim are a sort of vehicle for Yahweh in the book of Samuel. So in a sense, they're kind of God's messengers, you know, bringing things up and down from him and to him, including him. Gotcha. A vehicle. Yeah, a vehicle. These images are terrifying. Yeah, and that's a mothership right there. That's a mothership. Okay?
Coming in number 3, we've got the Watchers. First of all, any organization known as the Watchers is going to be creepy. That's just creepy names 101. Second, you know Noah's Ark? The story of God telling his chosen dude that he's going to flood the whole world in order to hard reset all the sin that's accumulated? Well, the Watchers can essentially be blamed for all that sin. This group of angels managed to fly under God's radar for a while and made their way down to Earth. See, the Watchers saw some of the beautiful women on Earth and found themselves unable to really focus on anything else. Wanting to marry these mortals, the Watchers rebelled against the rest of heaven and went down to Earth to have a good time. While there, they lived hedonistic, overly sexual lives and taught humans secret knowledge too. It's said that the Watchers were the first to teach people about weapons, which obviously would not violence. Also, the kids they had with human mothers turned out to be a little abnormal. You might be conjuring up images of death gods right now, but that's not the case for Christianity. Instead, these human angel hybrids turned into one start, too. Rely on one army against fight, resulting in untold amounts of armor. Each army took 3 win, instead of a battle of big thought because he wanted to make sure that the other bombs were able to run against the others and then do unstoppable things again in other during battle. It's not the terrifying the strongest was able to second and coming out by hell, rounded all out and disgusting. Of course, his heart capable of being absolutely so badass. Non-dimensional order that lasts. I guess we already know all that things on Inferno, but let's take a look at a very specific, pointed act of malice for a second. Raphael. Associated with healing and spiritual possessing. However, I guess the demon deserved it in some way.
Adjusted din. Mula po sa dating June 17 hanggang August 25, magiging June 1 na ito hanggang July 28. Sa July 29, 2024 naman, ang pinagdag magsisimula ng school year 2024-2025 na tatapos sa May 16, 2025.
Ayon sa DepEd, layo ng adjustments na maibalik sa April at May ang bakasyon ng mga estudyante sa 2027. Kinatutok yung mga concentrate ang mga mag-aaral sa pagkakilit. Mas magastos sa kuryente at tubig na mag-operate ang mga eskwelahan at pag-aaral sa pagkakilit. Ang mga pagkatulong eskwelahan naman, malayang magpunta ng kanilang sariling school calendar o sundin ang bagong DepEd memo. Papayang sa lalaki matapos kumantol sa saksakan ng halita nila nandun sa lalaki sa Maynila. Ang posibleng ugat mo na ng away, pagkawaan na ₱1,000. Balita sa tinigay kawagan.
Ako nitong Lunes, makikita ang lalaking nakaitim na patawid sa Antipolo Street sa Santa Cruz, Maynila. Bigla siyang nagmadali at makikita may kaaway. Ilang saglit pa makikita ang pagtakbo ng lalaking nakaitim. Ito na ang sumunod na eksena. Duguan na ang kaaway ng nakaitim na lalaki. Kinilala siyang si Alan Reyes alias Hapon. Ang tumakbong na lalaki nakaitim naman ay kinilalang si Angelos Rodriguez. Dalawa, saksakan pala. Kwento ng pag-awang ng Barangay 369, ginaboy niya pa si Rodriguez. Nakita ko na nagsisigawan. Nakita ko may tumatakbo lalaki na kay Tim. Inaboy ko. Katapos nakita ko pa mga videos may sigaw ng nagnanakaw. Hanggang doon sa kabilang barangay, nakita ko na korpo na yung nakaitim na lalaki. Duguan. Tapos pagkasabi sa akin, nagawad ko lang kasalanan. Pinitawan yung kutsilo tsaka ibay-bay na. Itinakbo pa raw sa ospital si Rodriguez pero namatay rin dahil sa mga saksak sa dibdib at tagiliran. Ayon sa kanilang Police District Homicide Section, kapag nakunan sa CCTV ay may nauna pang nangyari sa dalawa. Nauna raw na nakasaksi hapon.
Kaya parang hinapon na niya dito ang suspect natin. Pero nahawat sila ang isang witness na
I'm not ready yet.
natigilan niya Rodriguez. Ngunit after 20 to 30 minutes, hindi alam itong suspect natin yung nagrap ay ito biktima. Kita na natin sariling pananarap.
Nasaksak din daw ni Rodriguez si Apon sa likuran pero hindi napuruhan kaya nakaperte pa siya. Ang moment ng away nilang dalawa, halagang 100 piso.
Sabi niya, kinuhanan daw siya ng 100 piso nitong biktima. Pilit siyang kinuhanan ng 100 piso. Anong tinatanong namin bakit hindi niya ito alam kung kaya pilit niyang binabawi ito pero again hindi niya na ibabawi.
Kwento naman ang kinakasama ni Rodriguez, dati na raw nakatatanggap ng banta sa buhay ang biktima.
May nabasa po ako ng last year pa po, inaanting po siya nung sumaksak po sa kanya, nagpapatay po sa kanya, na may nagsabi po sa kanya na, look, wag kang pumunta muna dito, may naghahanap sa'yo, nahanap ka niya po, papatayin ka daw.
Ang tingin ni Nicole, may kinalaman ito nito sa droga. Aminado si Nicole, nagtulak si Rodriguez.
Kasi po, pag nasa bahay siya, doon po siya nag-aayos. Pinapabaya ko na lang po siya. Ito na lang po siya inaano kasi lagi niya din ako inaaway. Nabasa ko po sa messenger niya, may nagpapagawa sa kanya.
Nakaligtas naman sa pananaksak si Apon at nagpapagaling sa ospital. Homicide ang ikakaso sa kanya. Nico ay nagkabalita para sa GMA Integrated News.
Nag-aalala po ngayon ang ilang poultry farmer sa Isabela tungkol sa masamang dulo ng El Nino sa kanilang matuka. Marami na raw kasi ang namamatay ng mga alagang manok dahil sa makainit na panahon. Mahigpit po nila ngayong sinusunod ang tamang pagkain at tubig. Inibigyan din ang mga manok ng fermented fruit juice na pandagdag nutrisyon. Umaasa po sila na mabuti na ang kondisyon ng kanilang mga manok dahil sa mga hakbang na ito.
Mga kapuso, mainit na panahon pa rin ang mararanasan sa maraming bahagi ng bansa ngayong araw. Ayon sa pag-asa, ipilit pa rin ang online weather system na naka-apekto sa bansa na nanatiling masina ang hanging amihan. Posibleng 40 degrees Celsius ang maramdaman init sa Cotabato City, 39 degrees Celsius sa Buanga City, 38 degrees Celsius sa Park Pampanga, at sa Tulay, Quezon. Habang 36 degrees Celsius ang posibleng index ngayong araw sa Tantay City ayon sa pag-asa. Kung makapahapon sa
I'm not ready
Mesa,
yet.
ang Buklao, Pagboke, Pantabangan, Magat at Caleraya Reservoir. Tumaas naman ang tubig ngayon sa Ipo at Binga Reservoir. Inaasahan pa rin ang paguba ng water level sa iba't ibang daan sa Luzon dahil sa mababang tsansa ng ulan ngayong araw base sa rainfall forecast ng Metro Weather. Asahan ko ang light to moderate rain sa ilan namang panig ng Aurora, Quezon, Toro, Bicol Region, Central Visayas, South Leyte, Zamboanga del Norte, Northern Mindanao at Caraga Region. Mababa naman ang tsansa ng ulan dito po sa Metro
I'm not
Manila.
ready yet.
Arestado ang dalawang lalaki na napagbabuhian ng daang-daang libong pisong halaga ng umano'y iligal na droga sa Taytay Rizal. Balitang hatid, di Ma'am Alec.
Sa ito na pulisya na sa Alias Road sa Barangay Santa Ana, Taytay Rizal dahil sa pasumuno naman siya pagsuspend ng Kara-Itus. Nang i-check siya ng pulisya, nakuha sa kanyang hinihinalang shabu na may timbang na 60 grams na halos kalahating milyong piso ang halaga.
Nakatanggap po tayo ng informasyon mula sa aming mga barangay intelligence network na meron pong nagbebenta ng illegal na droga sa lugar nila na habang naghihintay ay nagsusunod po Arapus. Then, upon verification, validation ng mga operatiba natin, ay nakita nila na nandun nga yung tinutukoy na tao at kung saan nung kanilang lapitan, nahuli nila sa akto na nagsusugal.
Itinatanggi ng suspect ang mga paratan sa kanya.
Susugo po kami. Sa asawa ko po.
Sa parehong lugar, na-arresto rin ng mga pulis si alias Jeff na may bitbit din na hinihinalang droga na nagkakahalaga ng 170,000 pesos. Isa siyang mekaniko na sa sideline umano sa pagtutulak.
Aminado si alias Jeff at sinabing ipinakilala lang daw siya sa ganitong gawain ng mga dating kliyente sa maintenance ng mga sasakyan.
May naging customer lang po ako na nagpasok sa ganitong trabaho.
May trabaho na siyang marangal pero ginaluhan niya ng kalukuhan. Kaya po, hopefully po talaga siya ng kapulisan.
Ram Alegre, nagbabalita para sa GMA Integrated News.
Pansamantalang inihinto ng Philippine Red Cross ang kanilang feeding program sa Agusan del Sur. Kasunod po yan ang investigasyon sa pagkakaospital ng mahigit 200 tao na nakaranas ng pananakit ng tiyan, pagsusuka at pagdudumi matapos kumain sa feeding program ng PRC sa Esperanza noong pong Lunes ng gabi. Ayon sa PRC, ginagawa nila ang lahat para matiyak na ligtas sa lalong madaling panahon ang lahat po ng mga na-ospital. Sa ngayon, 9 na po sa mga na-ospital ang na-discharge na. Inaantay pa ang resulta ng sample na kinuha mula sa pagkain. Kinain ng mga na-ospital. Alam ng part of the camp para mag-iwas sa foreign illnesses, tiyabing malinis ang kinakain. Kung matulog, tiyabing malinis ang tubig at mga sangkang na gagamitin. Ang mga nanutunan dapat iwalay sa mga tao para iwasan ang contamination. Tiyabing nalutunan ng tubig ang pagkain. Sabay na lang ang karamitin ang saktong temperatura sa lalagyan ng pagkain. May pera doon na ibenta. Hindi ko wala sa pera. Kinabahan ako kasi sabi ko, alam ko, doon nakalagay yun. Tinignan kong sunod yung alahas ko. Alagay sa isang kibalibat. Sabi yun. Kaya, inisuli ko, wala din siya.
Nasa 15,000 pesos ang narmalay na salary at ang halos 400,000 pesos ang kabuong halaga ng mga alahas sa pwede. Nang nilagayong CCTV na pagdalaman ng nagawabayan na lang sa pipeline ng 2 dito sa Renteria, ang 23 anos sa Santuario Tuwa. Hindi rin niya pinalampas ang sento ng pera ng 2 sting na empleyado.
Hindi naman lang yung pagkakalala na ganun nilagay ko sa akin kasi sinabi
board is ready for whatever.
I must wait a moment. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. My bags are full.
Hindi rin daw sinikap ni Fermin ang kumpirmahin ang kanilang defamatory statements kay Dominic. Ang tinigil pa ni Dominic, hindi sila nag-away ni Bea dahil sa prenuptial agreement. Sinusubukan na namin una ng makayak si Mayor Bolin at si Christy Fermin.
Hindi na naman magugula si Vice President Sara Duterte kung tumatama ang mga bandila at pagkakati laban sa kanya. Kasunod ito ng pagkakasunay niya sa mga dating sa Republic Duterte sa aligasyong tumanggap sila ng mali mula kay Pastor Arturo Pinoy. Balita ang Titigian Cruz.
Sa pagdalo ni Vice President Sara Duterte sa 13th Biennial National Convention ng Chinese-Filipino Business Club Incorporated,